Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop. And this is my first impressions look on the Way of Wade 808-3 Ultra. So if you guys didn't know, the 808-2 was one of my favorite shoes of last year. It reminded me a lot of Kobe's and I absolutely love playing in this shoe. Not so much this one because the translucent outsole was really bad on dust. But all the other colorways that has solid rubber was absolutely amazing, right? So this is of course the new version, right? This is the 808-3 Ultra. It retails for 159 bucks, so basically 160 bucks. So if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. But let's get it started right off with the Tracciones. And in this colorway, we actually have a solid rubber outsole. It's not translucent, which I do like, and we also have a lot of squiggly, wavy lines, right? Now also here in the forefoot, which I really like what they did, they actually filled it in. You guys see the extra grooves here in like the forefoot area. So obviously the forefoot area is where the high wear area is. You're putting a lot more force here, especially where the ball of your foot is, right? So that's gonna add for a little bit more durability. Also, we have a little bit of that going on here in the heel as well. And how does the traction feel? Yes, it feels freaking phenomenal. I don't know what Way of Wade is doing with the rubber compound. I don't know what they're cooking up, but whatever rubber compounds that they're using for their outsoles is freaking amazing. It's sticky. It has an amazing bite so far on my wood floors. It also has a very, very loud high-pitched squeak, which of course has nothing to do with performance, but I like to have a nice loud high-pitched squeak. So that feels super duper nice. And also they're calling this tough rubber, just like in the 808-2s, right? The 808-2, they called it a tough rubber. And it feels very, very tough. You know what I mean? The rubber is actually very, very hard. Although the grooves, especially here in the midfoot, it does get spaced apart. And I guess the rubber does move, but also it still feels pretty damn stiff. You know what I mean? Even though it's like very, very deep as far as the grooves go as well. So it seems very, very durable for outdoor use. So if you're gonna be playing on an outdoor court, you should be fine. I mean, you were good to go here in the 808-2, and the 808-3 also feels very, very nice. So of course the only question is it gonna be good on a dusty setting? So of course I'm gonna need to try it out and play in it, but right now the traction feels really, really good. And also we do have a carbon fiber midfoot. I mean, they're saying it is carbon fiber, but look, it bends pretty damn easily. So maybe it is carbon fiber and maybe they didn't like stiffen it up. This is carbon fiber right here and that one's stiff, but here it's not as stiff, you know what I mean? Now moving on to the heel to toe transition, it feels overall pretty damn smooth, right? So the only thing I don't like about drop-in midsoles sometimes is they do make the heel all plastic. Look at that, it's super plasticky, right? So it's also a very stiff, hard plastic. And it does feel a little clunky in the heel, but of course we do have a nice rounded shape, so it's not a huge deal, right? And then here in the forefoot, we do have a very nice curved shape and a lot of forefoot flex, which I love. I like to have a very flexible forefoot sometimes because it feels really, really nice, you know what I mean? It makes the overall shoe feel super duper smooth as opposed to something like very, very boot-like if the sole was very, very stiff, right? Also, it does bend a little bit in the midfoot, but it also, like, I'm putting a good amount of force into it, so we'll have to see for torsional support, but the overall heel to toe transition does feel pretty damn smooth besides it feeling a little clunky here in the heel. And now, of course, moving on to the cushioning setup. So as far as the cushioning setup goes, we have a drop-in midsole, right? And that's one thing that I love about the 808 series is from the 808-2, also the 808-3, they're using drop-in midsoles. And of course, this is full-length Boom. So I love Boom. It feels amazing. It's very, very lightweight. It's a low-density foam. It's very, very soft. It also offers a good amount of bounce as well. So I really do like that. And one thing that I do like about the 808-3 over the 808-2 is, if you guys remember, the 808-2, there was like some felt material, right? I didn't really like that. It stiffened it up a little bit as well because they glued it down. But here in the 3, they didn't, right? It's full on just Boom, right? And the texture is a little bit different as well. There's a lot more texture to it. It grips my socks still pretty damn well, but it's not super sticky like Lunar Line, like in the Kobe's. You know how those stuck to your socks a little bit, which was kind of annoying for some people? I liked it, but this one doesn't stick to your sock as bad, you know what I mean? So that feels nice too. And one thing that I do notice though is that it's a very, very thin midsole, especially here in the forefoot. It feels pretty similar, but like the 808-3 actually feels a little bit thinner in the forefoot. I might be wrong though. But just right now, it does feel a little bit thinner, but I mean, it's probably negligible, right? But yeah, but you have amazing court feel. You're right on the ground, right? You're super duper low to the ground. Stepping comfort is pretty nice here in the forefoot and also here in the heel, but I feel like just like here in the 808 too, you know, the boom is super soft, right? So when I did super hard impacts, I would bottom out the foam a little bit and it would hurt a little bit. You know, I can feel my foot kind of hitting the ground. So probably impact protection on like hard impacts isn't going to be the best, but overall stepping comfort is very, very nice. You have really good court feel and feels very responsive, right? And also here, on the bottom of the shoe, we can see kind of like a forefoot plate and kind of comes here into the midfoot. So you have a little bit more springiness, a little bit more spring back, which of course is very, very good. But I don't really think it does that much. It probably helps a little bit, right? But yeah, there is the cushion there. And now moving on to the upper. So we have kind of like a mesh upper with a good amount of overlays, like synthetic overlays, right? You can see how good the ventilation is. And airflow is really, really good, especially here in the forefoot. Also, look at how thin it is. Super duper thin, but also feels very supportive because there are synthetic overlays, right? So I like how it feels on foot, but like as far as the quality goes, especially for 160 bucks, it does feel pretty plasticky and does feel a little cheap. Also, maybe like even a little flimsy, right? So for 160 bucks, definitely not the best, but it feels really nice on foot. And then also look at how thin it is here on the lateral side. Look at that. You can literally see my finger through it. And also the ventilation is really good through this as well. For the tongue, we have a very open mesh here on the bottom of the tongue, and also here on top, we have a little bit of padding, like just a little bit less than average, I would say. It's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit, which feels very, very nice. And then here in the ankle area, I would say, like on the sides, there's a little bit of padding, and also I don't even know what this is. Is this like it's kind of like an ankle pad. It's not an Achilles pad, right? It's more on the ankle bone, you know what I mean? So ankle bone pad, but also it's not even like a padding. It's kind of like, what is this? You know, it doesn't add extra padding. It's just a different type of material over it. There is a good amount of padding here where your Achilles is though, like in the back of the heel, so that does feel nice, but this overall upper and also this overall material does feel super duper minimal, which I do like. And it's just a very, very minimal and also like thin feeling shoe, you know, and very flexible feeling shoe as well, just like in the 808-2s, which I love about the 808 line, right? Obviously, like I said, not the best for quality, especially for the price, but it feels really nice on foot so far. One thing that does worry me though are like the eyelets, right? So kind of reminds me of, I believe there was the D-Rose 8, right? I think it was the D-Rose 8 where the cables, right? People were tightening the laces pretty tight and it was snapping. It does look pretty similar to the D-Rose 8 kind of cable lacing system, you know what I mean? So that does worry me a little bit, but for the most part, I do like the upper material. Now moving on to the fit, I went up half a size and this shoe fits me freaking snug, guys. So lengthwise, I would say there is a little bit of length, right? There is a little bit of length, so maybe I could have gone down half a size for length, but everything else, it would have been way too tight, right? So widthwise, this shoe is freaking narrow, like really, really narrow. Even for me, it's squeezing the side of my foot like a good amount. So it's kind of going like this, my toes. So I don't really like that all too much. Even though I do like a narrow fit, this is like really, really narrow, even though I went up half a size, right? So just be careful on the width. If you have a skinny foot, you should be fine going up half a size, maybe true to size, but that's if you want a really snug fit, right? But if you want like a normal fit, then I would probably suggest going up a full size because it's a really, really snug fit widthwise. Also here in the toe box, it is quite snug. So yeah, I went up half a size and fits me pretty damn well. It's just the width, right? So the width is definitely squeezing the side of my foot a little bit. So just be careful on that. Now moving on to the support and lockdown, it'll probably be very, very good, right? So on one thing that I love about drop-in midsoles is they usually add kind of like a sidewall in the drop-in midsole, right? From the actual foam. So you already have that covered, right? That's acting as a sidewall, that's acting as a lateral counter for lateral containment, right? And also we have some external lateral counters for like basically on the outside of the shoe on the upper. So here in the forefoot, we have this plastic piece, of course, and we also have a little bit of like this material. It's maybe carbon fiber, but it's not super stiff, right? And then here in the heel, we have this crazy external TPU heel counter. It's just a super stiff plastic. And then of course we have this carbon fiber as well. So lateral containment feels like it's gonna be very good. And also lateral stability, look at how wide it is. See this crazy sharp outrigger. So lateral stability feels like it's gonna be good. You're super low to the ground as well. So yeah, it feels like it's gonna be very supportive. And now moving on to the weight, this shoe does not feel very, very light. So I am a little bit disappointed in that. I mean, it doesn't feel heavy though, but I feel like with all this plastic, it might be like 13 ounces. Yeah, 13.25 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 13.35 ounces. Yeah, so that's definitely a little bit heavier than normal. The average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces, so almost an ounce heavier than average. Let's check the 808 2 Ultra. Yeah, 13.15 ounces, so it's basically the same weight. Yeah, it definitely feels a little kind of heavy in the heel, right? But it feels really minimal and also super flexible, like I said. So, and I feel like it's gonna be very responsive. The traction's feeling good, cushion feels really responsive, you know what I mean? So, it'll probably be a very responsive shoe, but I definitely feel like they went a little overboard with all of this plastic. If they would have removed a lot of this, or maybe put some holes in it to reduce the weight, I feel like it would have felt a little bit better, but it still feels really nice on foot. And now moving on to the aesthetics, I love it. This shoe, this is the Oxygen colorway, and this gradient on the upper is freaking amazing. Like, it's white and obviously it turns blue. It also says O2 right here on the medial side, which is pretty cool for the colorway. But yeah, I really love the design, and whoever's designing shoes over at Way of Weight, whoever the designers are, they're killing it. All their shoes look absolutely amazing. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yes, the 808 3 Ultra is feeling freaking amazing, just like the 808 2 Ultra, or I guess the 808 2 Ultra V2. But I also have a different colorway of this as well with the solid rubber, and it was freaking amazing too. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love this shoe, and this shoe also does feel like a Kobe. So yeah, my first impressions of the 808 3 Ultra. I'm really liking this shoe, and I'm very excited playing it. But anyways, that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.